Hello, the name is Regis Kilbin, and the game is Hearthstone. And today I'm going to be taking a look at my League of Explorers budget Aggro Paladin deck. This is a deck designed to rush down your enemy's health total as quickly as possible, using a swarm of early game minions that are sticky and resilient thanks to both buffs and divine shields, and can actually kill your opponent pretty quickly thanks to various damage buffs from minions and just spells that Paladin has access to. And charge minions and a couple big late game bombs that can allow you to stretch out a game longer than an aggro deck otherwise has any right to. So the League of Explorers budget Paladin deck is not a control deck or mid-range deck or a secret Paladin or any of those fun things. This is really just a deck that's all about really rapid early game value that establishes a board and leverages that board to kill your opponent as quickly as possible. You don't want games stretching much farther than turn like 8 or 9. If they do, you're probably in trouble, and your opponent will have plenty of time to recover. So the idea with this budget deck, as well as all my other League of Explorers budget decks, is that if you have access to League of Explorers already, if you're a new player and you thought that's the latest adventure, that's where I should start. That's a great start. It's a fantastic adventure with some great cards. So we'll be taking those League of Explorers cards that you'll already have access to, and then supplementing those cards with up to 500 Arcane Dust worth of additional cards. So this deck has some key League of Explorers cards like Sir Finley and Bran and Keeper of Uldaman, but also adds in crafted cards from various other expansions for 500 additional dust. So it should be very accessible and easy for you to create this pretty competitive deck on a budget as long as you already have League of Explorers. If you don't have League of Explorers, I have some other budget decks. I'll be happy to link in the comments if you just ask. But this one is if you've already got LoE in your pocket. So, to discuss this deck in greater detail, I think it's most helpful really to just go card by card and see what each card is doing and why it exists in this deck and how it functions to meet the goal. Starting off with Blessing of Might. This is a really cheap buff, just gives a minion +3 attack. You'll have lots of minions on board to leverage this, but you've also got a couple chargers this can be fantastic with. It just allows you to pump out a lot of extra damage for very cheap. Abusive Sergeant is a very similar kind of card. This is not necessarily an ideal turn 1 play, although it can function in that regard. This is just another easy, cheap way to add on extra damage, because this deck is really all about pumping out that damage. And Abusive Sergeant also combos with Bran Bronzebeard later on to allow you to do even more damage. But this card is just a feature of all aggro decks, and it's fantastic in this one as well. Leper Gnome, another 1-mana card. It's another 2/1. It has a similar death rattle. Deal 2 damage to the enemy hero, so that's a similar purpose to Abusive Sergeant. It's just more guaranteed damage. It's very, very difficult for your opponent to avoid. Sir Finley Murgleton is a new League of Explorers card. This Murloc is not aligned in a way to do tons of damage. It only has 1 attack, but it is a pretty sticky minion for a 1-drop. It's very hard to kill a 3 health minion that early in the game. So that does set it up really nicely to absorb buffs from, say, Abusive Sergeant or like a Blessing of Kings later on, or an Argent Protector. There are various ways to get a good value minion out on turn 1 and then leverage that into an advantage for some nice board presence in the early game. So Sir Finley also has a battle cry that allows you to discover a new basic hero power. Now, the standard Paladin hero power is a pretty good one. You get to summon a 1/1 minion, of course. But since this deck is all about damage, sometimes hero powers like Hunter's hero power or even Druid or Mage that allow you to do damage directly and instantly can be better than Silverhand Recruit, which does take a turn or two to really contribute any damage to the enemy face. So sometimes you'll pick those, depending on the needs or when you play this card. That could also all change. We'll talk about that in our gameplay later on. Up next is Argent Protector. This 2-mana 2/2 doesn't have the greatest body for its stats, but its Battlecry effect is pretty crazy. Give a friendly minion Divine Shield. We have a lot of scary minions in this deck, like a 3/1 Wolf Rider, that are usually very easy for the opponent to kill, but if you're able to give those a Divine Shield, suddenly it becomes a lot more work for them to deal with it, which buys you time to find lethal. Jeweled Scarab is another new League of Explorers card. It's really bad as a 2-mana 1/1, and it's not something you'll want to play on turn 2 in this deck. It's really more of a mid-game card that if you're running out of steam and you need a card to play or some damage, that this can provide it. If you look at the 3-mana Paladin cards, a lot of them are going to give you instant damage. Coghammer's damage. Sword of Justice is a little bit of damage, but also makes all your minions so good. Muster is damage and minions. Seal of Champions is instant damage with something on the board. These particular ones aren't always that great for this deck, but can still be great cards. Divine Favor can be tons of card draw. And then when it comes to neutral minions you can pick, Arcane Golem, Argent Horserider are both fantastic in this deck because they're chargers. Cold Light Oracle can refill your hand. So there's some great things that you can get. It's probably the best cards available for this particular deck. But it allows you to do that, get a strong card, and develop a small body simultaneously as needed. Shielded Minibot is really just the ultimate 2-drop in the game. It's Argent Protector, but it's all bundled into one. If you get this out early and maintain the Divine Shield, you can do crazy stuff with the buffs from Abusive Sergeant or, say, Blessing of Kings. It also just trades really well and is very resilient. So Shielded Minibot's kind of your ultimate core value early game card. Argent Horserider is similar, but it's a charger, so it gives you instant damage, and it's still very hard to remove thanks to its Divine Shield. Sometimes you might use it to trade into something really scary using a buff or just its standard attack if you want to kill like a Knife Juggler, for instance. But usually sending it at the face is well worth it. Brand Bronzebeard is a little bit slow for some of the cards in this deck since he doesn't give you extra value instantly. It takes another card or another turn to develop that value. But there are a couple different cards that benefit from his effect, which is that battle cries trigger twice. So for instance, if you play an Abusive Sergeant, it gets a +4 attack buff. Dark Iron Dwarf does the same, it gives +4 attack. Keeper of Oldman doesn't do anything. Jeweled Scarab, you get to draw 2 cards, which can be really nice. Argent Protector doesn't actually do anything. Sir Finley lets you pick your hero power twice, but sometimes that can be bad, sometimes that can be good. And most importantly, Frostwolf Warlord actually gets a double buff. So if you play this and it's supposed to get +3/+3 and turn into a 7/7, it will actually get +6/+6 and turn into a 10/10. And that can be a really power combo that catches people off guard for a budget deck and gives you the finisher that you need. So Brand is also just nice as a 2/4 body. Sometimes it's hard for people to kill a 4 health card that early in the game, so it can set up for a nice turn 4 Blessing of Kings. Similarly, people are scared of Brawn because they don't know what's going to happen that you've played him. It seems significant, so they might go out of their way to kill him, even though you don't really care about Brawn that much, and it will allow you to preserve other value minions in the deck. So that can also be an advantage. It can be a sort of a mini taunt that forces a reaction from your opponent. Wolf Rider is all just instant damage, pumping out 3 damage immediately and forcing your opponent to respond unless they're afraid they're going to die. True Silver Champion is more damage. It's 8 damage for 4 mana, which is great in this deck. Also gives you some extra health to buy time as you need it to find lethal. You'll occasionally have to use this to clear a minion that's threatening your board, but still, usually it's awfully good just hitting the enemy's face with this card. Blessing of Kings is your ultimate value buff, a 4 mana 4/4. Now that doesn't sound exciting when you look at other 4 mana cards like, a Chill Wind Yeti is a 4 mana 4/5. Why is Blessing of Kings good? It's because it actually has charge, right? If you already have a minion on the board, this +4/+4 gets instant value. You can attack with that +4 buff right away. So it's almost like a charging 4/4 as long as you have a minion on the board. And this deck is so good at keeping minions on the board that it will often be exactly that. You never want to have to play Blessing of Kings on a minion that's still sleeping and can't attack. But this deck has chargers, it has so many Divine Shields, sticky minions that usually won't be an issue. Consecration is damage. It's a 4 mana, deal 2 to all enemies. That includes the enemy face, so it's sometimes an extra 2 damage. But more importantly, it can help you clear up a board of minions that threatens your own. So not only are you chipping in a little extra damage, but you're removing potential threats to your board. So Consecration is great in that regard. Sometimes it's also what you need to get through like a big wall of enemy taunts if they only have a few health left and your minions can't poke through, then Consecration will allow you to hit the face directly anyway. Dark Iron Dwarf is just another value body at the 4 mana slot. It's a Battlecry, give a minion +2 attack this turn. That can be really, really fantastic if you trade up with something like an Argent Horse Rider and get a free kill while also depositing a really kind of threatening and scary minion on the board. And 4/4s aren't always easy for people to kill, so sometimes Dark Iron Dwarf will stick for a turn or two and do a substantial amount of damage. Keeper of Ultimate is a 4-mana 3/4. It's actually similar in function in this deck to Dark Iron Dwarf. It sets a minion's attack and health to 3. Now sometimes you can use that on the enemy minions. If they've got like a 7/7 Dr. Boom out there and you have to get rid of it or you're dead, this can turn it into a 3/3 that's more easily killed. But more importantly, this can actually change your own minions into a 3/3. Like a Silverhand Recruit, if you've got out there that's a 1/1, you can turn it into a 3/3 and buff its attack by 2, much like Dark Iron Dwarf or Abusive Sergeant, allowing you to pump in some extra damage while still putting out a really solid 3/4 body. And then finally, we've got Frostwolf Warlord. This is a free card. It's probably not the best card in the list, but it actually fits with this deck synergy pretty well, because you're going to have minions on the board. You're going to have 2 to 3 minions usually on the board if things are going well. And Frostwolf Warlord turns into something like a 6/6 or a 7/7 for 5 mana, which is a very strong card that's still very difficult for people to kill. So it's like your kind of finisher or your last-ditch effort to win the game if everything else hasn't panned out and you're still looking for a big bomb to drop that your opponent has to deal with. So it can be that card, even though it's a free budget card. It can actually be a very strong threat. So there you have it. That's our League of Explorers Budget Paladin deck list. Quite a few interesting cards. So now I think it'd just be most helpful to actually see this thing in action on the ranked ladder. So I'd like to take this, actually not on the ranked ladder today. We're going to play it in casual mode today because we're at rank 4, and at this point in the season, rank 4 is still incredibly competitive. It's mostly still legend level players who are climbing the ladder because we're just about midway through the season. So this deck is not really designed to take you to legend. It's competitive. It can take you to rank 15 very easily. Rank 12 is probably quite accessible, or maybe even rank 10 with some patience and some dedication and some practice learning it. But rank 4 is a war zone that this deck is probably not currently suited to play in. So I'd rather take it into casual mode just to see it in action. And get a better feel for the kinds of decks and players that you'll be encountering as a beginner player who's on a budget, because that's what this deck is designed for. So I don't think it's fair to take it in and play it against all the top meta decks and watch it get stomped. Even though I do think it would win a few games, it wouldn't be the best representation of what this deck is designed to do. Now that said, the way casual play works, we probably will still encounter some pretty powerful decks. So we might see this thing struggle a little, but it's the best I can do. Okay, so here, although these cards are pretty cheap, you might think you want to keep them in the mulligan. That's not true. Blessing of Might requires something else on the board to be valuable, so it's not a good turn 1 play. Argent Protector is the same. It has to have a minion on the board, so it's not a good turn 1 play, or even turn 2 play, necessarily. It's because we don't know what we're going to have. And Bran is just a little too slow, so we want to mulligan and hope we get a 1-drop like our Leper Gnome or a Sir Finley. That's perfect. These are a little slow. It's going to be painful if we don't draw into a 2-drop in the next 2 turns, or at least something else to do. Now you'll note that this deck had no card draw. It's really just all in. You have to make it work. Okay, that's incredibly unfortunate that we have all of our 4-drops in our opening hand. So we're going to have to hero power here. Plus he innervated out a really nasty threat. So he's already ahead of us on board. If he starts making trades, we may never actually recover. Yeah, he's trading. Oh, that's brutal. That's really brutal. We're gonna go face, because we're so far behind on the board already that I don't think trading enables us very much. He might have to hero power one of these down, but he's got some tough decisions to make. It's usually good to kill it or Nasus Aspirant just because it allows them to do more stuff with their mana, but we're so far behind already that I don't think I can afford to lose the damage. I have to go for it. Man, we just don't have a good play right now. This is actually the perfect draw. Perfect draw. It's a pretty bad drop from his Shredder as well. So we might actually be able to recover a little bit here, but turn 5 is pretty awkward for this deck. We need a 3-drop. You see, that doesn't feel so good. I actually have to do this even though it's a lower mana play or a lower value play than, say, dropping one of our 4-drops. That's just because this is going to be harder for him to kill, and we're more likely to keep a minion alive, which means we can either Blessing of Kings it or Dark Iron Dwarf, depending on the situation.
Where shall I start?
That taunt's not a taunt. He's going to clear our board, and he's pretty smart. He recognizes that we're probably buff-based and have to have a board to generate value, so he's definitely making the right plays here. Okay, so we're just gonna do this for now. I kind of was tempted to play the weapon and just start going face, but with Druid, we risk being dead before too long, just because the combo is always a threat. So I think it's better if we can force him to make some more awkward trades in the meantime. If he starts going face here, that's going to signal that we're close to dead. Okay, he's still eating damage. That's good for us. He's probably going to make this trade. See what's in his Shredder. Okay, that could be a really bad... Oh, it's so bad with our weapon. That's going to deny our weapon. Okay, so we can make Braun a 6-8. You can trade into that pretty easily, though. I could Hero Power out another 3-3 with our Keeper. But he's got 9, 11, 12 damage on board. Savage Roar kills us. Double Swipe, he can't do that yet. But he could swipe Hero Power for 7. That would almost kill us. I'd love to Hero Power, but I can't. I just have to keep doing this. This is not good when you're behind. It's just bad, in fact. We haven't had a single charging minion yet. It's very unfortunate. Oh my goodness, that is problematic. If he decides to go face here, how much damage can we do? 6 plus 8 is 14. We'd be 1 off lethal. Wow, that's gonna hurt. That's really gonna hurt. Oh, but we're frozen, so we're not even that. Double blessings would get us. Yeah, I don't think we can get our way out of this one. I just wanted to show you how that works. We can't win the game, so. We were close, though. Despite getting behind really early and never recovering and having an awkward opening hand. You can see we still got pretty close against a very strong deck. Okay, so that's one of the risks with this deck is since we do have a slight abundance of 4-drops, that your hand can get a little stuffed with them early. It wouldn't have been as big of a problem if he hadn't innervated out that piloted Shredder, just because that got him a lot of early game value and trade options. But it doesn't always happen, and you actually need those 4-drops just for some mid-game depth in the deck. Otherwise, you just run out of gas way too fast since this has no card draw. I'm actually going to keep the Argent Protector this time around just to guarantee that we have a play. Plus, we have the coin, so we can pull off some more shenanigans, like we could even Hero Power turn 1. Do this turn 2. We'll toss all the other late game cards back. Okay, so Shield of Minibot's fantastic. Jeweled Scarab's a 2-drop, but actually a little slow for us. We want something with a little more punch early. Fortunately, I jinxed myself as I said that. I'm playing the mini-bot here. If he pops off the shield, I can re-shield it with the Argent Protector. If he doesn't, I can just go Jeweled Scarab. So I'm probably just going to go Jeweled Scarab here. That's not bad, but we can do that turn 3 with the... We actually do have a mech that will probably survive to next turn, so I'm going to take the Tinkertown here. Not going to pop the shield for him because then he could kill it, and the Tinkertown's going to be a really, really solid turn 3 play. So the mech did survive. Yeah, we can't afford to trade into that thing. Yeah, he's going to get some nice trades and heals on it, but if he's healing it, it's very slow for him as far as board presence is concerned, and we have to start chipping damage away. Armor plating looks bad in an aggressive deck, but it's actually not too bad because we could use it on like a low health minion and make it survive. Priest is very tough, by the way, for aggressive decks. This is not an ideal matchup. That's a pretty slow card, though. I think we're just going to keep pressuring the board. He doesn't have any good trades if I do this. He can kill this Jeweled Scarab, but he sacrifices at least one minion to do it, and he only draws one card, so... And we still have 7 attack on the board. And it deposits another strong body. Holy Nova here is pretty good for him, but it still leaves us with 1 minion. And there's no way for him to do it. Yeah, he can keep the Zombie Child alive, actually. He can Holy Nova first and then attack. It looks like he has something he wants to play. Yeah, he does have that. So that's a little tough, but we still have a 3-2. We can refill pretty quickly here. Oh, he circled our minion back up, too. I actually appreciate that. I would rather that happen, because now he can't kill it with what's on board. Okay, so this play is a little tough, actually. I think I just want to get minions out. We have 5 mana. Because I want to get a Frostwolf Warlord going. Because the longer we wait against Priest with Frostwolf Warlord, the more likely they are to draw into something that kills it. We'll take Fire Blast here just because it's damage. I'm actually going to play the Jeweled Scarab instead of the Leper Gnome just for mana reasons. Oh, these are all bad. We'll take the Charge minion just because we can use it with buffs and turn it into a 4 or 5/8 charge with Blessing of Kings, which wouldn't be too bad for 7 mana. And we're going to Argent Protector this guy just because it's our highest value minion. We could do this to save the Jeweled Scarab, but in the long run, we still care about our strongest minions. And having 3 minions on board is fine as far as Frostwolf is concerned, or even 2. Because he can kill 2. That'll turn it into a 6/6. It won't be susceptible to Big Game Hunter or anything. He's got another Holy Nova, it looks like, maybe. Or man, that's rough for us. Really, really rough. Just really unfortunate. Just gonna play the Leper Gnome Frostwolf Warlord. And I can't make a trade here, so we go face. Hopefully he doesn't have a way to kill this or we're in a little bit of trouble. This is a nice combo for 4 mana. This is a strong 4 mana play. Doesn't look like he's got AoE like Light Bomb, or at least he's not willing to use it. Just on so many cards with his Acolyte. That's a death or 2, yeah. Just going face here? Don't worry about my health. He's got so many cards, I'm not really worried about the 9 card draw. I'm actually going to give this an additional 1 health, because that denies a board clear. Otherwise, he could just kill it with what's on board. So it might keep it alive for 2 extra damage. Might not. He might steal it with a Cabal Shadow Priest, which makes it more annoying, but we're not too worried about that. So we're just going to ignore it anyway. This is 4 instant damage. We have 8 damage in hand. He's at 12. Functionally puts us a few points off lethal. Like Blessing of Kings would win the game probably next turn. Or he might heal, so maybe not, but depends on what he clears and doesn't. He has so many cards to play with here. I don't feel good about our chances. Nothing must feel good to him, though, because Sludge Belcher is going to be tough for us to deal with. There are other things that are annoying, but... What's he thinking about? If he has, like, Flash... Yeah, there we go. If he has, like, Flash Heal, too, we could be in trouble. Interesting. He's choosing to heal his minion. I think that's wrong, because we don't really care about that. Yeah, he made a mistake there. Okay, let's see. We have 2 chargers. We can actually just charge this as a 1-attack minion to get through the Belcher. And this stays alive for at least a turn. I mean, it's not ideal, but it's something. I'm debating whether to play this or not. Because if I save it, I could do 6 damage, 7 damage in a single turn. I think I'm just going to save it and ping face. Problem is, every turn you wait with this deck against a priest, it just gives them 2... It's +2 health you have to find. Because he's going to heal himself every turn. If he has another taunt, we're in very desperate trouble. We can still kill him from here, but... If he gets another Sludge Belcher off this, we're donezo. Yeah. That is really, really tough. I have to make this play as terrible as it is. Because we don't have any way to get through a Sludge Belcher other than killing it. This is a good opportunity to, before he buffs its health or pulls off more shenanigans. So we're in top deck mode. We only draw 1 card a turn every turn unless we get a Discover card. We could use the money. Oh, gosh. That's it. 3 straight Sludge Belchers is brutal. Just absolutely brutal. We have no chance now. I kind of want to ping the Sludge Belcher there just because he gets a free trade and heal now. But he had a way to kill it anyway and buff the health of the Sludge Belcher with the Dark Cultist if I didn't. So... I deny this now, potentially. Still gonna do it probably, but... this game is over. We should have conceded 2 turns ago, but I don't like to concede, particularly in a deck guide video, just so that we can see, you know, what are the outs in this deck, how far can you stretch the limits, but I would not encourage you to play this game normally. Hopefully he doesn't take forever to make every turn again. I'd like him to just start killing us quickly. He's just going to ignore. That's probably right, but it does let us kill, so... that's an okay draw.
Get in there and fight, maggot!
Ping this, just in case he trades everything else, we can ping it next turn or force him to lose health points. It looks like a wasted ping in hindsight because of the way he played it, but it wasn't necessarily. He could have traded in the other way and...
Do you have the artifact?
Oh my goodness. Just pile it on. So we have no win conditions at this point still. That's technically probably the best draw on our deck. It's not any good. Normally that would be a 5-5, but Sir Finley did give us a different hero power, which can be good sometimes and bad others.
Embrace the void.
Oh, he's got lethal. Okay, so that's another game with the League of Explorers budget aggro paladin deck. Hasn't gone so well so far, but that was a particularly tough matchup. A hyper control priest that happened to have 3 straight sludge belchers. That is backbreaking in every way. So hopefully we can get a win with this deck. It doesn't always happen in the video. Sometimes you happen to hit the losing streak at the wrong time. But I have been playtesting this deck for about half a day, and it has been more consistent than this and more reliably good. So I have faith in the deck still, even though it might not look like it now. Okay, so here, this is an instance where we're going to get to see the Abusive Sergeant on turn 1, which isn't your favorite play in the world because you'd rather get that value, but it's still nice to get a minion out. He might have to hero power trade. Like it throws off his curve and makes him react. So the mulligan there, I didn't discuss the mulligan. I forgot what I threw back, unfortunately, so I can't go into detail, but we wanted to keep the 1-drop just to have something reliable and get a nice curve. So this is the first time we've had a smooth curve, and it looks really, really nice. It's very likely we're going to get Blessings value, and maybe even Frostwolf value if he doesn't have a Blade Flurry or Fan of Knives or something that ruins our dreams. Because Rogue is actually pretty good at dealing with our early game swarm of stuff, just because Fan of Knives is great against Divine Shield. Blade Flurry is also great against Divine Shield and tons of minions. Backstab is also good, just getting rid of all this early stuff. They have some pretty high tempo ways to clear a board of minions. But well, apparently his hand was a little awkward, and he saw that one unfolding, which will happen from time to time. He was in trouble if he didn't have a clear because we had the Blessing. We were going to do 8 damage that turn, followed up by the Frostwolf Warlord. So let's get another one. I'll still count that as a legitimate win just because we scared him off. People are a little more likely to concede in casual play than ranked, of course, but that's still an indication of what he saw coming. And he was right.
Uther versus Malfurion.
I must protect the one.
Okay, so mulligan here.
With honor.
It's a perfect curve, which is nice. But we do have the coin, and I don't like Wolf Riders against Druids. They're susceptible to hero power and susceptible to swipe. So I'm going to toss the Wolf Rider for now. I don't think it's an early game play against Druid. I think it's a mid to late game instant 3 damage. And we can coin out the True Silver as needed on turn 3 and buy ourselves a few turns to draw into other stuff. But I do like the Leper Gnome for 1 and the Mini Bot for 2, so those are fine. Okay, Living Roots is pretty disastrous. I think that means we have to coin out the Mini Bot instead of the Leper Gnome. Has he really got an Innervate? He's considering innervating something? This turn's taking an awfully long time.
Happy Feast of Wintervale, champion.
I wonder.
If we coin out the Minibot, we can Leper Gnome, potentially Blessing on our Minibot if it survives, just for extra damage. But it helps deny these saplings from getting really, really easy value against our Leper Gnome. Basically, he kills one and gets to continue attacking. He threatens Divine Shield. Like, it's a problem. So I'd rather just put something out that contests them. It might force him to hero power trade, which would be great for us. It'd be 3 mana for 2 mana. It'd open up our board for turn 2. We could play a Leper Gnome. He'd have to hero power again for turn 3, and that would feel awkward for him. Hopefully this isn't someone who's roping us intentionally just to BM in casual mode. That would be a very unfortunate turn of events. Looks like maybe he's not. So he's just going to ignore. Okay, that's cool too. We're gonna do what we described to a T. He's got a trade here, of course, or a trade here, and that's fine. But he feels threatened by this probably now, which means he might have to run everything in here. If he decides to hero power it, he eats another 5. We're a little light on a turn 3 play, but if our leper gnome survives, which it could, based on the board, we can just blessing it in hero power. That'd be just fine. Yeah, so now he feels threatened by this. That's pretty good for him, because now he can make this trade too and clear our board. He's thinking about going face though too. Pretty sure that's wrong. He's actually thinking about hero powering? I'm not sure what his debate is. It's a great play.
What to do?
It's perfect. We might need a consecration in this game. Looks like he's got a lot of little token stuff.
Another night on the prowl.
Yeah. Okay, that's better, yeah. I'm not sure that's better actually. Oh, he's gonna lose 2 damage if he makes this trade. Yeah, he botched that turn. He could have put that on the Haunted Creeper and still cleared. It's okay, it's good for us. Buys us a little extra time. Just gonna Jeweled Scarab here to give us a card. Man, this is tough. Silverback's actually almost viable just given his board state. But we won't be able to play it next turn probably. Horse Rider is so good for us, but I think Mustard just gives us too much value. We can clear 1/1s and deposit some minions, so against his deck, I think this is our best route. Plus, turn 4, we can actually do something if he lets us live. He probably won't, though. He makes this trade, he goes face. Hero powers, hopefully. If he has a good turn 4, we might be in trouble.
I must safeguard the land.
Yeah, that's good, but it's not that good. We might just True Silver that. Alternatively, we just muster.
For justice.
Reporting for duty.
He can probably clear with his hero power, but if not, if he decides to go face, we've got a great Frostwolf play. Oh, swipe. That's tough. Man, that's tough. So far, he's had everything. We can't keep her either.
Who knows what's for justice?
Reporting for duty.
We have to do this. I'm not killing this just because it gives him an extra attack power on the board. He might run it this way or hero power it down. He's probably going to be scared of Bran, though, as he should be. So hopefully he addresses that. Man, Consecration would be so good anytime. We could really punish him with Consecration right now. Oh my goodness. There it is.
For justice.
Perfect draw.
Yeah.
So we trade this way to make sure we get a full clear from Consecration. 10 is a very scary health total, but we do have the board now. We have a pretty strong hand of stuff. We have more cards than him. We still have a chance here. That's not immediately scary, but man, it could be soon with combo. It doesn't even matter, because combo kills us anyway at turn 9, so... This deck doesn't have taunt. I think we need to focus on killing him as rapidly as possible. And I think we do that through... Hero Power,
Reporting for duty.
Blessing of Kings, Blessing of Might. So, we threaten lethal on board. If he has some way to kill this, which I can't imagine he does as a druid, other than maybe Big Game Hunter,
Well played.
we might be dead. You got Innervate combo. Druid of the Claw charge doesn't do it. Swipe doesn't do it. Savage Roar doesn't do it. Double Savage Roar does it. Wow.
Well played.
Huh. We could have True Silvered out of that, I guess. Didn't think about playing a double Savage Roar, though. That's pretty brutal.
Play.
I guess we couldn't have even True Silvered out of it. It's at 12 with a hero power. So we made the right play. That's just unfortunate. Let's try one more time here with the League of Explorers budget aggro Paladin. I think we're getting a little bit unlucky on early game from our opponents. We had the zombie chow with a priest. We had the double living roots from the druid. Pretty consistent early game threats we've come up against. The one class who didn't was the rogue. Just said, forget it, I can't compete.
Versus Thrall.
For Doomhammer.
I will fight with honor.
Okay, so here we like the Leper Gnome as a turn 1. We also still like the Abusive, even though it doesn't give us a turn 2 necessarily. It's just mana flexibility. We hate the Frostwolf, it's too expensive. Another 1-drop be fine, a 2-drop's perfect. This gives us a really smooth curve so far. We got a 2-drop here, we got a 3-drop with this plus hero power if necessary. We've got our 4-drop. Pretty good start. Tunnel Trog is bad here because we can't threaten it necessarily with our Leper Gnome. Ooh, that's scary. That's scary enough that I think I might just want to Abusive Sergeant my Leper Gnome and kill it. Because I don't want stuff getting out of hand too early. And we still get damage from the Leper Gnome. We get value off the Abusive. It floats a mana, but that could deny him, 2 or 3 mana from the Mech Warper over a couple turns, so. So we float a mana 2 turns in a row. That's pretty unfortunate since he had a good turn 2 play despite losing the Mech Warper. But we're okay. Dark Iron Dwarf allows us to do some great stuff. He had a totem, which is fantastic for us. He's an aggro shaman, so he's ignoring our board, which is even better for us. This is our best play. It's a clean trade here. This survives. You don't always clear with this deck, but against an aggro shaman, you have to, just because spell power is particularly scary with them, and you don't want to leave them any shenanigans on the board. We could Consecration Dark Iron, but that's not very good. Consecration's too good against a shaman to use it against 1 minion. So I think that means we just deny with the Keeper. And we make this trade because I don't suspect he has a Lightning Storm. I take that back, just in case we trade these in. There's no reason not to play around Lightning Storm. 4 health is so much harder for people to deal with a shaman than a 1 health, 2 health, 1 health. That's just so susceptible to stuff. 4 health is awkward. It's out of Rockbiter range. It's out of Lightning Bolt range. So even though we gave up 1 damage doing it that way, and a couple extra minions, I still think it's going to be the greater long-term value play for us. We have Bran Scarab next turn, which is really, really nice to refill our hand. It's starting to get a little low. We can pump in 7 damage, put him at 15. Hope we're not disconnecting.
What?
No. Okay, cool.
What secrets will uncover?
So we're gonna make this play we described. There's, man, a second Bran is not bad, is it? Bran Dark Iron would be good next turn. I don't think he has Divine Shield, so we don't care about Blood Knight. Coghammer's great. It's damage, it's defense as well. These 2 cards aren't any good. We kill this again. We don't always make trades with this deck, but mech synergy can be pretty scary, so I want to deny that if possible. There's no reason to give him a mech if we don't have to. Plus, Lightning Storm's not particularly good against this board. Maybe Spell Power Lightning Storm's okay. Yeah, so he only gets 2 minions here, unless he double Lightning Storms, I guess. But even then, we can refill pretty quickly. This would be our refill, probably. Bran, Coghammer. So yeah, he's scared of Bran, as he should be. Okay, so we have a great play here with... we're gonna Bran Dark Iron. This goes up to 7 attack. He still has a Bran to deal with, and we have Coghammer. We have a lot of damage in hand as well. This is looking pretty good for us because we're still at 27. Yeah, he saw the light there. Saw the train at the end of the tunnel is more likely. Okay, so there you go. That was the League of Explorers budget Paladin deck. It's a pretty fun deck. It allows you to do some crazy stuff like you just saw in that last game. That last game was finally a good picture of when this deck is really rolling and doing its thing, just how successful and powerful it can look. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you try this deck out. If you're on a budget and you really enjoy Paladin, it's a pretty fun deck with some really exciting cards. If you have any questions or comments about this deck, please do just leave a comment. I'm happy to discuss it with you and maybe mention some upgrades or some replacements or help guide you as you refine this deck and upgrade it. So thanks so much again for watching, and until next time, game on.